All right, so before we get into the actual coloring, let's talk a little bit about some of the first things that I would do when I get new pages in, which is to check the size and to talk a little bit about the technical specs on the pages, because it's important to know this stuff if you're going to be coloring anything yourself. Now, I've already imported the first two pages here, and you can see the size, the 2780 by 4175, if your eyes work. It's really small. But I'm going to go ahead and click the plus sign over here on the top right and pull up all of the details, and we'll look at all of the specs. And you can click on this. It's that little folder icon up at the top left. Top right, I mean. Sorry about that. So I'm going to click that, and that's going to open up the custom canvas that breaks everything down. So the first thing is the dimension. Now, to be honest, there isn't like a single perfect template that's going to work for every single publisher. You know, every artist is going to get a set of specs. They're going to say, hey, you need to use these specs. And it's not something that colorists really have to worry about very much. But the few things that I would be sure to check, it's usually going to be at least, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 pixels wide by 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 pixels tall. It can vary quite a bit. The DPI, you at least 300 at minimum. I would say 300 is a minimum for coloring. I see a lot of pages at 400 and 600, but most of the work that I do is at 300 or 400 DPI. And that will have an impact on how many layers that you get in your file, you know, whatever the size is. So keep that in mind. You know, if I change these to different numbers, you can see that the number of maximum layers is changing. Now, I've never really run up against the layer limitations myself, but on a very large file at a very high DPI, you may find that there are some issues with that. So just something to keep in mind. But I don't want to get too bogged down to the specifics on this because, like I said, it will change depending on the project. There's another book I'm doing right now that's at 4125 by 6263. And if that's at, let's say, 400 DPI, then that gives me, you know, 16 layers, which seems like a lot, but that can run out pretty quickly depending on what style you're doing. So that can vary, but those are the important things. Make sure your DPI is at least 300. You're probably going to be fine. My apologies if this little cut in feels a little different. It's because it's happening weeks later in the edit. So for the color profile, now this is really important, especially if you're doing professional, like published work. Less so if you're just messing around on the internet and posting stuff on Twitter, but I'm of the opinion that you should always work as if it's going to be printed because who knows, maybe it will. The default option, or at least it was the default last I checked in Procreate, is an RGB color gamut, and it's the display P3 is what it's called. And I want to talk a little bit about color gamuts because it's not going to do much good for me to explain this without going into a little detail about it. I will put a link in the resources to a video I made about it already that's on YouTube that'll go into more detail with some visualizations. But just very briefly enough so you know what's going on here a little bit. Color gamuts are just, you can think of as your spectrum of options. Pun intended there. It is the number of colors available to you on a given canvas. And that gamut can range from, you know, billions of colors. You know, my local theater claims they have billions of colors on their projector, and I'm sure they do, better than I have at home. But the P3 color gamut is a very lush, very intense spectrum of colors that look great on an iPad. They're great at selling iPads. All of the images that you see in Best Buy when they're trying to sell, you know, those tablets are these crazy gorgeous, you know, images, and they're really bright and they're really saturated and it looks amazing. But here's the catch. The CMYK color palette, which is what, you know, we use in the comic book industry, and in most print industries, is limited to, you know, like 27,000 colors or something. It's a very small print gamut. So while this first gamut looks great, I don't recommend working in this one. I would use the sRGB right below it, the very next one, if you're going to work in RGB. Now, the reason this lesson is actually cut in is my thoughts have changed on this. I've talked to some colorists that actually are using the default CMYK generic profile that is in Procreate and turning that in and having no issues with it. So I have not personally done this, I can't vouch that if you're coloring Spider-Man, that this is exactly what Marvel needs, or DC likes very specific profiles, so this wouldn't work for that sort of work, not directly. What I've done in the past when I was working in Procreate was I was working in just a standard sRGB gamut and then exporting into Photoshop on my desktop, creating the CMYK files from there. Because at the time, I did not like the output from Procreate, and it didn't match what I was getting in Photoshop. And I've done some testing recently, and that is no longer how I feel. So what I would recommend, if you're going to work in print and you don't have access to another device or Photoshop or some other app that you're going to be doing conversions in, I would go ahead and use the CMYK profile. And that is purely if you're wanting to stay in Procreate. And let's say you don't have another device, you don't have any other apps, you're not trying to do any converting, this is your best option. Now, this will cut down on the number of layers you get, and there are blending modes that will act differently. Keep that in mind. That's why a lot of people do choose to work in RGB and then convert in other apps, because RGB does allow just for more choices and flexibility on the digital side. If you have access to other apps that can do the conversion to CMYK, then this is a moot point anyway, So it's total personal preference. I know colorists that work in RGB and convert to CMYK, almost always in Photoshop. And I know artists that work strictly in CMYK and don't convert and don't understand why anyone would want to work in RGB. And and so there's just two factions. So there's just two factions there that both have their own thoughts. It usually breaks out into a Twitter conversation every 6 months or so. Back when Twitter was useful. As of this recording, it actually already doesn't exist. It's called X. Really dating this video. Anyway, I wanted to step in here with this little section on the color profile because it's up to you which one you want to work in. Try both. They will feel different, especially if you're used to working in RGB. CMYK, you will see some color shifts in the color picker that you won't see in RGB because it's trying to show you the equivalent of what you would get. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, back to the rest of this lesson. Time-lapse settings. This is whatever you want to do, honestly. I like to leave mine on the highest it'll go because I want the quality of the video to be as high as it possibly can be. If you have an old iPad, if you have something that doesn't run very well, you can use one of these other standards. It really doesn't matter very much. It has nothing to do with what we're doing today. But it is in this section, so why not? I also leave it on lossless, although you can adjust that. HEVC is just another video codec standard. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Canvas properties. This is individual to the canvas. Doesn't really matter for us. I do like to keep my default canvas as gray, just as a gray color instead of white. But that's just me. You can leave it on white if you want. And then the background is hidden, I think, by default. Or not hidden by default, depending on whichever one it is. It doesn't really matter. But now we've got that set. That is not really anything you need to worry about to use the pages that I've provided in this course. But if you wanted to set up your own pages, that is how I would recommend doing it. We're not going to be starting on a new canvas in this course. I'm going to cancel this and go back to the gallery because we're going to use one of those pages that I provided. And we'll start there in the next lesson.